Good evening and welcome to Nationwide on the NTA. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. The crucial meeting of the National Security Council has ended with a firm resolve to subordinate all other national objectives and obligations until normalcy is fully restored in the nation's security situation. The National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno, who announced this after the Council's meeting, said a clear line of action has been given to the various operational elements by President Muhammadu Buhari, but details would not be made public. We'll bring you the full reports in our subsequent bulletins. The Akwa Ibom State government has donated the sum of 60 million naira to families of slain police officers in the state. Governor Udom Emmanuel made the donation when he paid a condolence visit to the Commissioner of Police, Akwa Ibom State, Andrew Amiegeme, at the state police headquarters in Uyo. Susan Asukwo reports.
The visit of Governor Udom Emmanuel to officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force at the State Police Headquarters was necessitated by the recent unprovoked attack on some police formations in the state. Received by the Commissioner of Police, Andrew Amiegeme, the governor expressed sympathy and condoled with the State Police Command over the loss of some officers and assets of the command. He appreciated the tireless effort of men of the police force, which has made Akwa Ibom State one of the safest states in the country, noting that the only way to avenge for the lives of the slain officers is to bring perpetrators of the barbaric act to book.
The only way we can actually show a lot of respect, the only way we can show that we value the lives of those that left us as our colleagues, as our friends, as our brothers, is to make sure we win this war.
The State Commissioner of Police, Andrew Amiegeme, said the visit of the state governor has boosted the morale of men and officers of the state police and also reeled out the losses recorded in the different attacks on police formations in the state.
We have lost a total of 11 rifles. 7 persons have been injured. 9 vehicles have been bombed.
Susan Asukwo, NTA News.
In another development, the Bayelsa State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on Police Brutality and Other Related Matters has recommended a 15 million naira compensation for the extrajudicial killing of one innocent Kokorifa by a police officer. The panel also gave recommendations on 3 other petitions brought before it. Ebenemi Zetimiyola has details.
The 4th respondent pay the petitioner the sum of 10 million naira for the extrajudicial killing of the deceased.
In his judgment, Chairman of the Bayelsa State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on Police Brutality and Other Matters, Justice Young Ogola, retired, also awarded 3 million naira for expenses incurred during the burial of the deceased, with a sum of 2 million naira as general damages and cost of litigation.
My son was brutally killed, and today we had judgment, so I'm grateful to God.
17-year-old innocent Kokorifa was allegedly shot on the 18th day of August 2016 by a police officer, Corporal Vincent Kolamowe, while returning from an errand. The matter is at the Supreme Court after the Court of Appeal upheld the judgment by the lower court, sentencing the offender to death by hanging. The panel also recommended the sum of 13 million naira as compensation, damages and expenses incurred over the death of a 300-level student, Eze Amadi, of the Department of Fine Arts from the Niger Delta University, who was killed during a peaceful protest in 2018. Similarly, 12 million naira was also recommended as compensation and for proper treatment of one Mr. Oyimbuna Ogbe, who was shot during the said NDU crisis in 2018.
I'm not very okay with the amount awarded because no money is too big to compensate the life of a person.
Younger brother was wrongly killed by rampaging police officers, but are supposed to protect lives and property.
Hearing continues in Yenegua. Ebenemi Zetimiyola, NTA News.
Let's now go over to our Lagos Network Center where Adeola is standing by and she'll be telling us more about security matters. Good evening, Adeola.
Good evening. Good evening, Aya. Good to see you. Lagos State Government has completed more than 1,800 kilometers of fiber optic lane cable to support the deployment of CCTV cameras that will help ensure that high-risk crime areas are kept under 24 hours surveillance. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stated this at a stakeholders security town hall meeting organized by the Ministry of Information in Lagos. Musa Toliat has details.
Stakeholder security gathering is informed by the prevailing insecurity realities in some parts of the country. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says security surveillance is one of the major steps being taken to boost the capacity of security agents to check security breaches across the metropolis.
Since December last year, we have demolished several hundreds of shanties and illegal structures around the state. These shanties are serving as hideouts for criminals and have exacerbated the insecurity situation in the state.
A greater percentage of crimes, ranging from armed robbery, cultism, kidnapping, are attributable to armed hoodlums who operate on Okada.
Religious leaders and members of the academia, however, believe restoring public trust in security architecture and interstate collaboration will go a long way in curbing criminal tendencies across the state.
Whatever strategy we are working must be within a multi-dimensional interstate strategy for surrounding states of Lagos to work together to secure the state.
And it requires a lot of funding. Continuous motivation for the law enforcement agents, motivation for the citizens who will give information. Without their cooperation, we cannot be secure.
We will join hands with the state government to make sure we eradicate this bad egg among us.
A panel of discussants drawn from traditional institutions, the labor unions, local government authorities, and religious organizations also made contributions to the security discourse. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
And moving on now, the Nigerian Air Force has unveiled its locally sourced devices and equipment capable of enhancing logistics support for operational efficiency. This was at the Inter-Unit Annual Research and Development Competition in Lagos, where the usage of the devices were demonstrated. Lynn Leneke reports.
Moving on the straight line, unless an external. What is that external force? Is the force applied to it more than 30 kilometers per hour?
The devices manufactured by personnel of the Nigerian Air Force with locally sourced materials are capable of detecting intruders, especially in the theater of war, while the other electronic dependents gate pass are among communication gadgets unveiled. This competition of 9 units under the purview of NAV Logistics Command produced and showcased equipment through well-researched documentation and innovation for operational efficiency.
This theme is carefully selected, taking into cognizance NAF experiences in terms of equipment acquisition, particularly the challenges being encountered in procuring aircraft spares and weapons for prosecution of the war against terrorism and banditry in the country.
The Nigerian Air Force says the initiative to locally source and manufacture devices will reduce over-dependence on importation of spare parts and provide solutions to operational maintenance and other service-related problems. After thorough assessment of the project, 041 Communication Depot were adjudged winner. The air power of the Nigerian Air Force has contributed in no small measure to the bombardments of insurgents and subsequently ground invasion. The Nigerian Air Force reiterated its commitment to turn the tide against insurgents. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
And that's it from...
You're welcome back. Governors of the states in the southern part of the country are meeting in Asaba, Delta State. 15 governors and 2 deputy governors attending the meeting hosted by Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State. Security situation in the country and socio-economic development of Nigeria and the southern states are on the agenda. A communique is expected to be issued at the end of the meeting.
For a very crucial meeting, though the outcome of the meeting have not been made public, it assumed that the governors are here to discuss burning national issues affecting the region and the effects of insecurity ravaging the country. Delegates are 17 governors of the southern region of the country. All are present except for Imo State and Akwa Ibom State, who are represented by their deputies. In Asaba Chinyere Okoli, NTA News.
Let's also tell you that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is strategizing to ensure that voter apathy is eliminated ahead of the 2023 general elections. INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Imo State, Professor Francis Ezonu, made this known at a stakeholders meeting in Owerri. Faith Iguilo has details.
Recent effort by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is tilted towards ensuring accessibility of polling units by voters. The Resident Electoral Commissioner, Imo State, Professor Francis Ezonu, who declared INEC's position to stakeholders in Owerri, says the existing polling unit structure has been in use in the past 25 years, which necessitated recent move by the Commission in converting voting points into full polling units.
We're even improving on what we have done in the past, because this time around, in the past, we just have only one center in each local government for registration. Now we are going to have 3, because we want to get closer to the people.
What they are doing is very fantastic. This is what we want to hear.
A good step in the right direction to ease various levels of violence during election.
To accommodate all and sundry, including people at the diaspora.
The people are, however, looking forward to effective implementation of the process, which will go a long way in increasing confidence in the electorates. In Owerri, Faith Iguilo, NTA News.
The need to address concerns of all sections of the country in sincerity and fairness and complementing one another economically and politically, irrespective of tribe or religion, has again been identified as some of the best ways to maximize the full potentials of Nigeria's fascinating diversity. Thomas Ogbetere reports that this was the position of guests on NTA Good Morning Nigeria.
Benefits that a country with multicultural and religious diversity like Nigeria can get if the nation is allowed to build on the full potentials to such diversity. This is why guests on the program, while speaking on how best to manage Nigeria's diversity, say diversity itself is a gift from God, and it is supposed to be a source of strength for the nation if well managed. So the guests posited that sincerity, justice, equity, and fairness without religious or tribal sentiments should always be a guide in all we engage in as a nation.
So I just think that if we are able to use the gift, the potential, the strength of each community to complement the weakness of the others, then we can have a good country.
The guests also called for the resuscitation of our value system, rebranding of the traditional institutions, good diversity management techniques on the side of government, and trust for one another as part of ways to manage the full potentials of the country's diversity for national development.
In order to build very strong society, strong Nigeria, let's get back to the table of dialogue. 1967 war came because Nigerians and people in this part of the world refused to go back to the table of dialogue. There is nothing better than dialogue.
The issue here is critically, when we look at it, is because of the nature of corruption which is going on in the country, the issue of mismanagement of funds.
They also called on Nigerians to always appreciate and see the diversity of the nation as nation's phenomenon for the promotion of peace and unity. In Abuja, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
A policy document to abreast officers and men of the Nigerian police force with global best standard on enhancing gender-responsive operations and community dialogue in curbing sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria has been validated. This was reached after in-depth analysis by stakeholders in Abuja, and Ngozi Silva Technical reports.
Data from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs reveals that out of about 3,000 reported cases of gender-based violence, only 11 were prosecuted, a statistics not in favor of the victims. To bridge this gap and ensure proper prosecution of perpetrators of SGBV by officers of the Nigerian Police Force informed the meeting of these technocrats.
It is an issue of fundamental human rights, and when infringed, it harms the individual and also has receiving consequences for families and society. I believe your contributions today will be another memorable day in the history of Nigerian Police Force and make you become a history maker.
But also requires a comprehensive approach that looks at personal capacity and behavior, institutional policies, systems and resources, and interagency collaboration and cooperation.
A more synchronized curriculum among the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Law School and the Medical School to facilitate investigation, preservation of evidence and referral were outlined.
Here's about what I'm saying. They need to be equipped. They need to be trained with necessary knowledge and technical know-how on how to handle these sexual and gender-based violent cases.
This training manual, I know it will change mindset of so many people, especially the police and the stakeholders working in the area of sexual gender-based violence.
The manual, after all analysis, was validated to become a working document for the police to be more professional in prosecuting SGBV cases in Nigeria. Ngozi Silva Technical, NTA News.
Edo State government empowers local vigilante to boost security. Over now to Obehi for more on this and other reports from our Benin Network Center.
Ayodiji, many thanks for joining us in Benin. Edo State government has presented 14 patrol vehicles to the vigilante groups in the state to help strengthen the security architecture of the state. Governor Godwin Obaseki presented the patrol vehicles shortly after a meeting with the vigilante teams and security forces. Elizabeth Omoko reports.
The State Community Vigilante Network was established last year amid rising security challenges to complement the effort of other security agencies in the fight against crime and criminality. It is spread across 1,416 communities of the state.
We have identified some of our challenges, namely mobility and fueling of vehicles. The training is essential, and I know you are already working towards giving us a robust training.
Governor Obaseki commended the effort of the local vigilantes in maintaining law and order. He promised to continually enhance their performance.
Be rest assured that we don't want you to lose your essence. You are like an operational force to support the existing security structure in the state.
Governor Obaseki, in making good his promises, presented 14 Sienna buses to the vigilante groups. It is expected that the vehicles will help boost the morals of the men and make the state safe for investment to thrive. In Benin, Elizabeth Omoko, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army is intervening in Ujabole Grammar School, Edo State, with the renovation and remodeling of structures in the college as part of efforts to cement the existing relationship between the Army and the civil populace. This was at the inauguration of projects executed by the Office of the Chief of the Army Staff at Ujabole Grammar School. Ivie Oyakiri reports.
Ujavo Grammar School, situated in Eastern Central Local Government Area of Edo State, has received attention from the Chief of Army Staff Civil Ministry Intervention Project in the college, initiated by Major General Kelvin Aligbe, who hails from Ujavo community and also a pioneer student of the college. The school, which has been in a deplorable state for years, is now wearing a new look with the remodeling of a block of 6 classrooms and a library, renovation of 3 blocks of 12 classrooms, a laboratory, and a multi-purpose examination hall.
This is to inspire the students and to let them know that they should not forget where they are coming from.
The project was inaugurated by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Atahiru Ibrahim, represented.
I am very optimistic that this project will serve the people of Ujawole community well and also complement the efforts of the federal and state governments.
On behalf of Edo State government, I cannot help but express in no small measure my gratitude for your support to the government.
So we appreciate the Chief of Army Staff.
Community, we are very happy and we are very happy to the man in charge.
Ujavo Grammar School was established in 1980. Ivie Oyahire, NTA News.
As part of efforts to reduce avoidable accidents on roads, the Federal Road Safety Corps, Ekiti State Command, has embarked on sensitization of members of the public on the rules and regulations guiding the use of roundabouts in the state. The sensitization program held in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, provided an avenue for motorists to be enlightened on the case of traffic rules guiding the use. Kainde Durodele reports.
In the past, avoidable accidents on roads, most especially at junctions in towns and cities, are caused by impatience and lack of basic traffic knowledge of the use of roundabouts. To correct this trend, Federal Road Safety Corps, led by the State Commander, Mrs. Elizabeth Akinade, in collaboration with other sister agencies in the state, move around Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, to sensitize motorists and other road users on the traffic rules guiding roundabouts. From one roundabout to the other, the sensitization team distributed flyers and also demonstrated the proper traffic rules application, while they called the attention of road users and passerby of the need to obey rules and regulations guiding the use of the roundabout.
We are synergizing together to do a practical demonstration of proper use of roundabout so that the minor crashes and misunderstanding that we'll see on a daily basis on a roundabout will be totally eradicated.
Most people will stop where they are not supposed to stop, when they are negotiating roundabout. So with the program of this morning, we'll go a long way to enlighten the road users.
They called on the members of the public to always follow instructions given by the traffic management officials for the safety of their lives. In Ado-Ekiti, Kendi Drodola, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. Ayodeji, it's over to you for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you, Obehi. The first round of optimized maternal, newborn and child health week has been flagged off in Yenagoa by wife of the Bayelsa State Governor, Dr. Gloria Diri. The project, which targets hard-to-reach rural populace, is part of government's efforts towards achieving universal health coverage in Bayelsa State. Senam Bamigboye reports.
The highest prenatal, maternal and child mortality is said to be recorded in the hard-to-reach rural areas, with infection accounting for most deaths among children under 5 years. Appropriate intervention, along with adequate health resources, have potential to significantly reduce the burden of maternal and child mortalities. This is why the optimized Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Week, pioneered by the Primary Healthcare Development Agency Board, is important, as free health services are being taken to the doorsteps of the rural populace.
This is just a flag-off program to initiate that we are giving nutrition to our mothers and children and immunizing our mothers and children. So this flag-off is just for these 5 days. And thereafter, this program is continuing at the various facilities.
Wife of the Bayelsa State Governor and Health Ambassador, Dr. Gloria Diri, administered the first doses of immunization.
For
our women, our children, health is our priority. How to take care of their health for them to remain healthy and strong is of most importance to us.
Thank God for the government, and I know that he wants the betterment of the children and the mothers.
I say thank you very much.
This is the first time I'm enjoying anything that has been happening in Bayelsa State.
As a community birth attendant, we are today now, though we have known our level, that any work that we cannot do, we have to refer the patient.
According to the World Health Organization, many factors contribute to maternal and newborn deaths, but accessibility to effective preventive measures and early treatment is key to sustained health. In Yenagwa, Senam Bamigbuye, NTA News.
49 new COVID-19 infections have been recorded in Nigeria within the last 24 hours, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 165,468. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, indicates that recorded 27 new cases, while Lagos recorded 11. Enugu recorded 8 new cases and Oyo has 3 cases. NCDC records show that the total discharged cases so far are 156,318, while the death toll is 2,065. Governor of Rivers State extends night curfew. For more on this and other reports, Doris is our guide from our Port Harcourt Network Center. Good evening, Doris.
Good evening and welcome to Port Harcourt. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has extended the night curfew imposed across the 23 local government areas of the state from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. with effect from Tuesday, the 11th of May 2021. This is to stem the dastardly attacks on security formations in the state. Ogedinyekwe reports.
The governor said in a state broadcast that the decision to extend the curfew was as a result of multiple ambush on police checkpoints along the east-west road, which resulted to the murder of 7 police officers over the weekend. He said the State Security Council reviewed the way and manner the recent attacks were executed and discovered that the perpetrators, who disguised themselves as security officers, moved in unhindered from Oyibo to launch the attack.
As a further step towards enhancing our collective safety, we will review the existing nighttime curfew across the 23 local government areas, which will now start from 7 p.m. and end at 6 a.m. until further notice from 11th of May 2021. The security agencies are hereby directed to note the new curfew time, ensure strict compliance, and effectively deal with any person or group that violates or attempts to violate this order.
The governor commiserated with the families of the late officers and the State Police Command for the loss, affirming that the government and the security agencies are determined to deploy everything at their disposal to ensure the security of lives and property in the state. He noted that security agencies are on the trail of the gunmen who attacked security formations in the state, assuring that the culprits will be brought to justice. He appealed to residents of the state for understanding, as the state government is not unmindful of the difficulty the curfew may inflict on them, noting that the aim of government's action is to ensure security of lives and property. In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwe, NTA News.
The Cross River State government says it has taken preventive measures to forestall future occurrences of neonatal tetanus infections after recording cases in a few communities of Akankpa local government area in the state due to unprofessional conduct by some traditional birth attendants. Paul Abel, in an exclusive interview with the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Beta Edu, sought positive ways forward.
Neonatal tetanus is a generalized tetanus infection of the newborn, which usually gets transmitted from an unvaccinated mother and enters the body through infection of unhealed umbilical stump. This typically happens when the umbilical cord is cut using unsterile instruments, and this is a case in Akankpa local government area.
facility when skill bet attendance is low and people are delivering with TBS in communities, they are exposed to either a bad razor blade, which is old and rusty, picked probably from the ground, and might be carrying the organism that causes the neonatal tetanus.
What is being done to eliminate the infection, especially in rural communities?
We've provided chlorhexidine in facilities, and that's why we continue to encourage mothers to go for antenatal in the primary health care and secondary facilities. In Akampa first, we really embarked on advocacy, where we had to engage all the key stakeholders. Health workers have been put in clusters to be able to communicate with women, hold focus group discussions, and try to influence them in the right direction to deliver with health facility, take up the vaccines, and of course do all the antenatal care. Most importantly is the fact that we had to carry out a campaign, a tetanus elimination campaign in Akampa local government.
It is hoped that the communities will heed the advocacy to prevent maternal and child mortality. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
That's our beat on Port Harcourt nationwide continues in Abuja.
Thanks. But before we go on Nationwide today, let's go for a quick break. When we return, more stories on Nationwide. Stay tuned. Glad you're still with us. Earlier, we told you that the crucial meeting of the National Security Council has ended with a firm resolve to subordinate all other national objectives and obligations until normalcy is fully restored in the nation's security situation. Status correspondent Adamu Sambo reports the National Security Advisor Babagana Mungunu announced this after the Council's meeting. Let's take a look at his reports.
This is the third time the National Security Council, chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari, will be meeting in the last 11 days. The unprecedented crucial engagement was summoned by the President to find lasting solutions to the various challenges of security bedeviling Nigeria, including insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and other acts of crime and criminality. The council members critically analyzed submissions by key participants on strategic and operational issues as well as constabulary matters. Consequently, far-reaching measures have been taken towards confronting head-on the worrisome security situation with the required immediacy.
We've decided not to reveal certain things that are not for the general public now.
The National Security Advisor, Babagana Mungunu, however, told journalists that President Muhammadu Buhari did not mince words while addressing the service chiefs and heads of other security services on what needs to be done going forward.
The President has given us marching orders to subjugate all other requirements in order to bring back security and normalcy to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and allowing the entire citizenry to undertake their legitimate obligations without any fear of being intimidated or coerced by non-state actors. So he recognizes that his primary responsibility is ensuring national survival in a hostile environment. And whether that hostility is domestic or external, it has to be suppressed. And therefore, he has given a clear line of action to the operational elements under the leadership of the Chief of Defense Staff.
And both the Chief of Defense Staff and the Acting Inspector General of Police were emphatic that the presidential task on the restoration of normalcy in the security situation in Nigeria is one that must be done.
Nigerians should expect commitment. Nigerians should expect professionalism. Nigerians should expect loyalty to constitutional order. Nigerians should expect that the military, as you have it, along with other security agencies, will continue to discharge their responsibilities and ensure that safety and security returns to every part of this country. Now, are we, on top of the situation based on Mr. President's directive? Yes, of course we are.
We have some measures which we have outlined, and it has been approved by the council, and we will see how we can change the narrative within the quickest possible means to restore law and order and restore peace in the country, particularly in the southeast and south-south.
Discussions at the meeting also centered on the control of small arms and light weapons, drug abuse as propellants for crime, as well as how to make the criminal justice system more effective. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Nigeria is among African nations that will experience the appearance of the first astronomical lunar crescent for the month of May 2021. The National Space Research and Development Agency says a lunar conjunction is the event when the Earth, Moon and the Sun are approximately in a straight line, resulting in a lunar crescent. Correspondent Kirian Umayo tells us more.
All the conjunctions of planets that occur periodically, the Moon conjunction, which produces the Lunar Crescent, has to do with the Moon, which is the closest celestial object to the Earth. An astronomer with the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASDA, Dr. Dan Oko, explains the difference between the Moon conjunction and eclipse of the Moon, as well as the method of prediction applied by the agency.
During a conjunction, we have a partial blockade because the Moon is not exactly on the line connecting the Earth and the Sun. It's slightly, the plane where it is slightly above or below in some cases, so it doesn't exactly, it's not exactly on the line, so that's what makes it different from an eclipse. Basically need to be able to describe the Sun's motion, the Earth's motion and the Moon's motion. So if we use astrodynamical equations that describe these three motions, then we'll be able to know that at this time, this is where they will be, and this is when they happen to be on a straight line.
From the calculations by experts, the first conjunction of the Moon will occur Tuesday, 11th May by 8 p.m., while the Lunar Crescent will appear in Nigeria on Wednesday, 12th May by 8:30 a.m. But noted that the first appearance cannot be seen with unaided eyes, but visible in the evening sky. The Lunar Crescent will be visible in all the states of the Federation on Wednesday between 6:21 and 7:24 p.m., but will first appear in the eastern parts of the country. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
Thousands of Muslims thronged AlNur Mosque, Wuse to Abuja in the last odd-numbered nights of the last 10 days of the Ramadan, where the night of majesty is expected as they submit to their Lord in prayers for bounties and benevolence. Abdullahi Ajia reports that the special Al-Qunut prayer was offered for Allah's quick intervention in all challenges of man.
As the clock ticks deep into the night, these worshippers with strong conviction converged in the house of Allah at a time that offers the best for the lucky worshippers. Muhammad Abdullah and Dr. Kabir Kabo Usman are two among the thousands of devotees keeping faith with the promise of Allah at such period.
It has always been a feeling of fulfillment to me as a person. And the fact that I have lived to witness this is to me a big rahama.
What is important in prayer is tranquility. And of course, the Prophet ﷺ prayed and he encouraged us to pray. And he is a noble example of all mankind.
Their belief, like any other worshipper in attendance, is that of a spirituality like never before, as it provides them the opportunity to move closer to Allah and pray for Nigeria and leaders. The Al-Qunut prayer provided a moment of spiritual climax and more access to the mercy of Allah, glorifying Him for the best in this life and in the hereafter, as the congregation was encouraged to continue with the moral lessons learned beyond the Ramadan. Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
In its fulfillment to make its products well-trained and skilled graduates, the University of Abuja has sourced for reputable organizations for its students to go through internship. The present management of the university vows to make every student skilled graduate, informing its decision to make it compulsory, regardless of course of study. 200 level students are to offer skilled acquisition courses and practice it before graduation.
Innovations, initiatives, breaking new grounds, creating new scopes and horizons of achievements and progress has been the watchword and the language of Professor Abdul-Rashid Nalla. And this hall is an evidence in itself of his capacity and ability to create new and break new ground in this university.
But I am convinced that this program will make it possible for us to get work even before graduation. This will enrich our capability and capacity to be able to connect to the society and to be very useful to the society.
Experts spoke on the future of internship for students, merging theory and practice and managing gender differences as an intern through disciplined work ethic. This is Nationwide on the NTA. Abubakar from Maiduguri is next. Good evening, Abubakar.
Good evening, Ayodeji, and thank you for joining us. All matters relating to seeking fundamental human rights through the courts have remained on hold since the nationwide strike action embarked upon by Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN. With the peculiar challenges of insecurity in Borno State, the effect of the strike on justice delivery system are enormous, as there is the fear of suspects going back to the cycle of crime. Mohammed Ibrahim has more on that.
It is the scenario of justice delayed is justice denied when NTA News visited various components of the judicial system, as nothing is going on, not even access or clearance in courts, which have been shut down, affecting the administration of justice in all spheres.
Shutting down courts hamper, fundamental human rights of individuals.
The courts affected are high courts, appeal and Sharia courts, as well as magistrate and area courts. All criminal cases awaiting trial or bail proceeding cannot be attended to.
A criminal tendency will be high because there is no way will be taken for you to be charged for the offense you committed. Certainly bail will be granted. And once if a bail is granted, it gives another room for the offender to commit another offense again.
Members of the bar whose job depends on the court's functioning cannot file cases that are time-bound due to the judicial staff strike, as citizens under unlawful detention have no room to seek for fundamental rights of application for bail, either in police cells or awaiting trial in prisons.
JUSUN at the national level are working hard to see that they have reached a settlement and agreement.
The list goes on with the police and the civil defense piling up cases due for prosecution, while customers of GSM subscribers seeking SIM registration affidavit only have the option of services of notary publics. The only alternative now for citizens seeking redress for civil cases are State's amicable settlement corridor in some high courts, which have continued to register rise in cases relating to inheritance and matrimony. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
Away from the judiciary now, peaceful coexistence among Nigerians, unity and development in all facets of national life formed prayer points by Muslim faithful in Borno while observing Tahajjud towards the end of the Ramadan fasting. Yagum Subuka reports that fasting Muslims came together with one voice in the search for an end to the protracted conflict in Borno State in the course of special prayers on the night of the 27th of Ramadan.
As the month-long Ramadan fast gradually winds down, Muslim faithful have intensified prayers with the hope to be among those whose du'as and supplications are accepted by Allah during Laylatul Qadr.
It has been a tradition in Islam for Muslim faithful to keep awake at night, especially in the last 10 days of Ramadan, be it at home or mosque, praying to Allah, seeking His mercies. The attendance of faithful at mosques, comprising both males, females, and even the younger ones this time around cannot be quantified, considering their high demands in God's swift intervention to their worries. Muslims are therefore in prayer, seeking Allah's favor.
This night of power is only given to few that are very faithful will see it.
The heavy presence of security operatives within the vicinity of mosques categorically spelled out the need for faithful to be fully protected while they are on mission to speak directly to their creator, unlike last year, where the lockdown occasioned by COVID-19, which deprived Muslims to perform prayers at mosques. This time around, faithful have all the ample time to do their religious obligations freely. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subakar, NTA News.
You're on to Nationwide on the Nigerian Television Authority. It's now time to return to Ayodeji in Abuja for more reports. Happy Eid al-Fitr celebration to you in advance.
I wish you the same, Abubakar. Back in Abuja, women journalists in the country have observed that the recent challenges facing the country indicates that the nation is at a crossroad, requiring prayers to God for divine intervention to heal the land and restore comfort to his people. They converged in Abuja to intercede for the land. Gufan Shaji reports that the prayers held at the NUJ Press Center Abuja has at its theme, "Oh God, heal our land."
An assemblage of women journalists drawn from various media outfits pouring their hearts to God on behalf of the nation.
Oh God, that we will have peace in our country.
Ya Allah, protect our children. President of the National Association of Women Journalists, Ladi Bala says, as mothers, when their cry touches heaven, a transformation is birthed, especially at this critical time when Nigeria needs healing.
There is a warfare that is going on in the spiritual realm, and it will take prayers, and that is why we chose this month of Ramadan, advantage of this holy season, and join our faith with our Muslims in the country, also fast along, you understand, and ask God to have mercy.
And with a great faith and belief, we know today that we have prayed all across the country, not only in FCT, that God will heal us from every situation or all the challenges we are going through in this country.
They also urged every Nigerian to continuously seek the face of God and work for the peace of the nation. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, has urged the United States of America not to relent in investing in the region in order to entrench peace and improve the nation's economy. He said this while playing host to the United States of America ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Leonard. Discussions centered on tackling security issues, COVID-19 and harmonization of Niger Delta Plan, among others.
We shall have a new NDDC. We are not going to be in power forever. By 2023, I believe we'll get out of this place, but we will have repositioned the NDDC to become more productive than what it had been in the last 19 years. And we have reduced the loopholes of leakages in the system that led to more money entering the pockets of people without much being seen on the ground. So we believe that we'll transform the region and command. So I will need your assistance.
That we're all looking forward to the petroleum industry bill becoming a reality so that there can be a predictable basis for entrants, companies who are entering in that or operating in that sphere, and a predictable set of expectations for the populations of the Niger Delta in that regard.
Correspondent Joseph Johnson reports that the minister assured the team of the ministry's cooperation towards moving the Niger Delta region forward. Now, sports. Let's join Olumide Eguntola, who has the details.